Just like you, awesome.
Yes, sir. The stage is yours. You can, guys, please give him round of applause and give your enthusiasm to start the meeting. Hope you will learn many things from this meeting. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Okay. So I guess my screen is visible now in front of you. Just let me know if it is there. Okay, so let's get started as an API penetration tester. So today's talk will be on this topic, and I'll be just giving you a Jordan approach about what should be the ethical approach and for the exploitation, as well as to the path of API penetration testing. So let's get you started, shall we? Just a very brief introduction about myself. As given, name is Fardeen Ahmed, security analyst, researcher, backend developer, and learner. Just like you all, we all are learning, we all are growing. And I've worked under new startups as a developer, as a backend as well as in front end, as well as in security team. That's why I switched to security much more. Currently pursuing my BTech from cyber security and digital forensics at PIT Bhopal University. Apart from that, my achievements include recently I found out one of the vulnerabilities, not in NCIA PC by the way, or reported at NCIA PC, but rather in the direct joint project with the Department of Defense of the Government of India, and I was able to find an admin panel access through which I could have easily send arbitrary requests to any other cadets and commodities and all those people through that. So I would have taken care of a part of Department of Defense, and they wouldn't have even noticed about it. So that was one of my recent achievement, like a recent one, within a week or two. Apart from that, I've helped in securing these companies: Dell, Canva, Egoe, Seek.com, Viator, Mastercard, IC Square, and all those companies. Okay, so this is a very small introduction about myself. Today's topic of discussion will be like seriously what API is all about and what should be in the most convenient way the definition of what API is and what should a person know about what API is all about. Then we'll be discussing about types of API one should focus on, like different types of APIs. Then we'll be moving forward towards the top 10 API vulnerabilities that is being published by WASP, and then we'll also discuss about OWASP as an organization. Moving forward, we'll reach to the point of approaching to find your own first API flaws and what are the things that you should know to get to the things about API vulnerabilities. Then there will be an endpoint discussions for beginners. Then we'll move towards the things that you should learn in order to get started as an API penetration tester. And with the conclusion, we'll be telling about how to deal with duplicate vulnerability that is being generally posted up by the security researchers or bug bounty hunters or under VDP or RDPs, and how to be self-motivated, because let's just face it, penetration testing is a job. If you are not acquired or if you are not working under an organization, then believe me, it is a job of a lot of patience. Like even if you are working with the organization, still that is also patience work. But still, if you are working as a freelance security researcher or a bug bounty hunter, you should have some basic information about these things. So let's just crack the code. What is application programming interface? And the most easiest definition, if I have to be put out, then APIs are nothing but are softwares that are being used to take request of the users just like us and to deliver the requests responses in the different way. Like for example, if I have to search on YouTube like how to get how to become an HTML coder in 1 hour, like generally people are discussing about that, or how to become the best bug bounty hunters within 1 day or 1 week or 1 year, something like that. So they are doing it. What are the approach and all those things? So these requests that are being searched on search requests that we are generating it on YouTube or on Google. So these are filtered out through APIs, and the APIs get back to the database. Database it pings on and asks like, "Hello, database, do you have the information?" Like these are the things that are being asked by our users, And the database in response says that yes, there is, and we'll be providing you with the information that you have been rightly asked out, and they just pings out the information what we are dealing with. So that's how a normal search works. And API is the work of API is to boost the optimization power and to scale, like increase the scalability of a product use. APIs are being generally used in that way. It has secured indirectly many web applications, but have created some loopholes in the within the integration with the web application that we'll be discussing in the future part. Right now we'll be discussing, like, and APIs are generally used in Android applications. It is being used with different IT applications. What IT applications are, like, let's suppose Deloitte is a very big company or TCS is a very big company, and these companies have tie-ups with other companies, and these other companies give Deloitte or any other company, like, okay, so we have a request that we want to create a software or a program that is going to help you. Like, for example, if in COVID-19, there was a need to find a browser in such a way that students won't be able to cheat out or something like that. So these kind of products that were made were through either IT people or through good product based company people. So these created these all kind of web applications or normal application, which can be used by the students so that they won't be able to cheat in the examination, and they can do ethical in exams. But we all are students, and that's how we crack the code and all those things. So these applications are being made through IT firms, and an API plays a very important role in that. Okay. And then escalation and reach of personalization. So for example, right now, if we are having a cell phone or we are having anything, like seriously anything right now, we are using just like on Android cell phone or tablets or anything like that. Whatever we are using it as an application is just because, which is possible and optimized just because of APIs. So APIs have helped us in a very indistinguishable ways. There is not a particular way that it hasn't helped us out. Now, why API penetration testing in a general way manner? Okay, so APIs have provided us with a lot of functionalities, and that has given us so much of boost up in the industries. But that's not a point to be catch up. Okay. Now what happened is, with functionalities, there are some other way. There will always be some kind of loopholes or security loopholes, which we say. There were HCL breach, there were Domino's breach that happened recently. My own data was also exposed there. So I just changed everything and I just removed everything what I had with Domino's. Seriously, I don't ask Domino's now. And then, like, within a week only, a Accenture breach took place. The main reason was that APIs were not integrated good with the web application, due to which an endpoint was, focus means exposed up. Now this was, generate, endpoints are the only, like, generally endpoints are the play when you're finding your vulnerabilities within the API. So with the functionalities increasing day by day, security researchers are learning every day and all those things. APIs are potential threat, not complete, but potential threat, not now. But if it is not integrated in a good way, if it is not applied in a good way, then APIs are always going to be security vulnerability. It is always going to be a vulnerable thing if it is not initiated properly. If it is set up properly, believe me, that is going to help you, help the organization in the transaction, the most of request, in the most secure way. So we don't know when the next breach happen, and we all know that API contains a lot of functionalities. And the worst part about APIs are, if it is not an internal API, that we'll be discussing in the types of API. If it is not an internal API but an open API, and if the documentations are readily available, then people or the attacker can easily read about the documentation, get to know about its functionality, and can reverse engineer it. So if APIs are not like either not integrated properly or not tested properly, then it is always going to be a blunder to use APIs directly. Just like I've seen many projects that are being used by the students, they're just blindly, like, they are importing that Google APIs, and they are integrating it with their application, and they're like, see, we are using it in Android application. And when I was able to get to tell them that these are the vulnerabilities, they were like, oh, so these were the vulnerabilities. And I was like, yeah, these are the vulnerabilities. Although you're not going to pay me, and I know that because you're a startup and you definitely won't be able to wait. But still, I would like to tell you that these are the vulnerabilities you should mitigate. So APIs is a very critical part right now. Okay. So the types of API one should focus on, like believe me, whatever the people who have joined here, they don't want to know any kind of whatever things I've said before. They want to know how to get started with API, and we'll get to that point. But first, we should know about what types of API one should know and what should focus on. So these are the four types of API: public, partner, internal, and composite. Public APIs are those which are completely readily available on the internet, just like Google, Microsoft, IBM. Okay, you can use the APIs, you can work over it. Generally, they create some parameters through which you can work and test through that parameters only and not any other thing else. Then there is partner API, just like whenever you're starting a startup. Like for example, the best like I have seen good startups. They get integrated with AWS. AWS provide them and support them for 2 years, like DSPH, Damn Secure Penetration Hub. So that place is always focused up through by AWS to provide them with services for free for at least of 2 years so that they can get on their feet. So that's a partner API thing. The third thing is the internal API thing. That internal APIs are those APIs that are being maintained and managed within the organization and is being only used to the third party only and only if they agree, not third party, second party, only and only if they say that yes, these are the things that has to be carried out. Like Deloitte is a company and it gets tied up with any other companies, and when they get accompanied with other companies or get tied up within their deals to use an API, what happens is Deloitte tells them that yes, you will be able to use this APIs for the services which are being provided, but you don't have to use these things for any other purposes. Remember that. So they are like that. Okay. So internal APIs are only discussed within two parties, generally two parties, but it can increase on the basis of whatever the requirement is. And the composite API generally is like a paradigm, okay, that you can use functionality of multiple APIs within a single API. Like it is a general definition, but not an accurate one. So what we have to discuss as a pen tester is to test on REST APIs as well as on SOAP APIs. Okay. So REST APIs are those APIs that are being easy to set up, very much easy to set up and very much easily handled. Okay. And SOAP APIs are those APIs that are difficult to set up, but the best part about SOAP APIs is you are easy to set up these, difficult to or complex to set up, but if set up properly, it gives you the optimal secured request and response. Okay, REST APIs on the other ways are those APIs that are being generally used, easy to set up, and frequently used by the people, and it is quite vulnerable if it is not set properly. So these are the OWASP top 10 API vulnerabilities. Let's get to the place of vulnerabilities, right? I've divided these vulnerabilities in two parts, like good findings and great findings, because of the fact that most of the people who have joined are either a beginner level or intermediary, because no one is in advanced level. I myself is not in advanced level. I don't consider myself advanced in any way possible, because we all are student, we all are learning, and we will always learn till the last breath of our life. Okay, so we all are learning. So the good findings are those findings that can be easily found, that are easy to find but difficult to get. What I mean is, people generally know about these vulnerabilities and they generally find out these vulnerabilities. And as a beginner in API penetration testing, these vulnerabilities should be known to the beginner people. Now, great findings are those vulnerabilities that a person knows about APIs, how it is working, not just about tokens and escalation of tokens to any other thing, or finding just through GitHub those tokens and implementing it and getting leakage of any credentials. No, not like that. These are quite different thing. Okay, quite different. Not that much, but quite different. So if you have to get a very brief introduction about these all vulnerabilities, then it can be like as follows. Now, broken object level authorization, or BOLA. Now, this API vulnerability is much more like an IDOR vulnerability, which is indirect object referencing. Okay. The best part about IDORs are you just have to find the accurate endpoint or the midpoint or the start point which you can manipulate, and you can easily get the access of the any other position, or to get the escalation to a next position. What next position is? It in indirect object referencing, what happens is, if I have to define it, then there are some endpoints, just like user API and all those things, or just like user parameter, and then parameter consists of some numbers. Okay, these numerals can be manipulated and changed in any other random way, not in random way, but also in some sequential way that is not known to us. Like for us, it will be very random, but to the admin and to the people, they'll be having a list of all those numbers, and those numbers will be assigned with the information about a particular person, which is being related to the organization. Okay, so broken object level authorization is like you change the numbers, or you change the parameters, you change the parameter of ID or UUID to any other number, and you'll be able to access some of the information, or partial information or complete information about the other user, although there is a very fine difference between you as a user versus a second user as a user within the organization. So it creates a difference. Okay, that admin creates a difference between them, and that is always tackled out by admins. Like IDOR is present all the places, but people are like, you need to find out that thing. Okay, it's easy to escalate but difficult to find out, and once find out, it's easy to escalate. Excessive data exposure on the other end is like, many a times developers are creating those setting up the APIs in such a way that they left out some basic endpoint, like just like box in, or mgmt, or anything like that, or .git or .env or anything like. There are a lot of endpoints. These endpoints, if not restricted with a 403 restriction or 301 permanent redirection, then it exposes some sensitive tokens, or sometimes some sensitive files which are configurational files, and these are very much to be not exposed up to the general people. So excessive data exposure is like, you get an endpoint, and through that endpoint, when you apply it within the URL, and you get to know about that URL, it consists of some sensitive information. Sometimes PII is also, that is personal identifiable information. Then this pose a very great threat to one's privacy within that organization. Like, let's face it, you'll be giving your own data, and it will be available just in the changing of by changing the parameters to ID1 or ID2, ID3, or just changing the endpoint to .env to .gid or anything like that, and you'll be able to get to know about that. Yes, the information about that person is visible, not only me, but for the whole organization in the form of JSON files. So that is a kind of excessive data exposure, a kind of, but there are numerous ways to find that. Third is the lack of resource and rate limiting. Rate limiting vulnerabilities are quite known to people, but still I'll be very much delighted to tell them. Rate limiting is a condition where a request is sent through an API to the browser for a certain amount of time, and when it is overcome or like overpassed to a certain amount of time, the API blocks the request in such a way that database doesn't get confused with the requests. So what happens is, if there is no rate limiting, what happens is there are a lot of vulnerabilities that can work on. It can work over email triggering, like for example, getting 10,000 or 1 lakh kind of messages or emails of the same kind of same email getting 10,000 times. So that is a kind of vulnerability, but that's not the end of rate limiting. That can happen in any kind of forms. It can kind of any kind of parameters that accepts the requests and processes it for to the database. Okay, and lack of resources are some kind of related to the asset management, that we'll be discussing it in the forward discussions. The fourth is the insufficient logging and monitoring. These are being all most of the time these are being tackled by scanners, and there's a people who are creating those scanners and all those things. So these are monitored up through that place. Then there is security misconfiguration. Security misconfiguration is that thing that you find out generally, like SSL TLS vulnerability, and that is a very bad thing. Okay, so security misconfiguration, just like finding and there is no HTTPS placed at that position, or there is no encryption of request that is being sent from your side to the server side. So this is a kind of security misconfiguration. Now, great finding consists of broken authentication. Now, Even if you are a new people, you can learn all these 10. There is no difference, by the way, but it is just done for convenience and all those things. Broken authentication, believe me, it is always going to be present there. Broken authentication is always going to be present in the web application. It can never get tackled, because till the time like humans are coding, like programming the stuff, there will be broken authentication vulnerabilities. Okay. The second is the broken authentication vulnerabilities includes what do you say? Those vulnerabilities that are not generally found, or that failure to invalidate session or session fixation type of vulnerabilities. Then there is some kind of vulnerabilities such as, I'm not getting a particular word over that, but still, like account takeovers. Broken authentication creates a lot of account takeovers vulnerabilities. I've heard many of my friends, such as Kuan Bose, that quite a good security researcher. He got a broken authentication bugs. A lot of flaws he got it through APIs as well as through web applications. So he's quite good with it. So he got it. So at account takeovers, sensitive leakage of tokens, these all can be found through broken authentication vulnerabilities. Next is the injection vulnerabilities, which are very much popular in the newbie, bug bounty hunters or security researchers. SQL injection, cross-site scripting, command injection, any kind of injections with the parameter tampering and anything like that, it is all available through injection vulnerabilities. So these are comprised of injection vulnerabilities. Broken function level authorization in the most simplest way possible. It is like escalating yourself towards the next part, like becoming yourself to be an admin. Broken function level authorization is like becoming an admin or admin panel bypass if you have to take it. Like this was the vulnerability that I found out within the web application of CISF, and it was quite easy to find out because there was an endpoint of mgmt space box.nt, which I rigorously fuzzed through my list of list of fuzzing endpoints, and I was able to get to the BFLA. So I was able to judge the admin panel. Like I could have sent anything from cadet CISF to any other place, which is related to CISF within the Department of Defense. The second last is the improper asset management. Improper asset management is a vulnerability where, for example, an organization lets you test under certain places and under certain positions only. Now, improper asset management does is you will be able to get to know the things done about any other asset. Like for example, you were testing for SQL injection, you found out there is a file upload vulnerability, okay, under any other place, okay. Now you get a file upload vulnerability under a place, and when you escalate it, like when you use it under remote code execution or anything else, okay, that place. So that might come under improper asset management, but it generally doesn't come. Okay, what comes in asset management is to get to the places which was prohibited, which was not at all expected to be like in the most decent way. Then 403 bypasses or OTP bypasses or two-factor authentication, that comes both under broken authentication, but if escalated to OTP bypass and all those things, then it comes under improper asset management. For example, when you get the admin panel bypass and you are able to bypass it, it comes within broken authentication and is related to improper asset management. So these all vulnerabilities are somehow the other way chained with each other and can be escalated in different way possible. And last is the mass assignment. You can read about it, that and OWASP top 10 API vulnerabilities. It is quite related to excessive data exposure, not completely, but some sensitive data exposure. You can get to know much more of it about in the API vulnerability section at OWASP. One of my findings were to get the endpoint of API.php, and I was able to uh, type the users and then get to know about it. But after users, nothing was being reflected. So I thought of why not to try something. Like whenever I used to go for user, there was a 302 found redirection, and I was redirected to this page. I thought of why not to try some kind of SSRF stuff. So I not SSRF, SQL injection stuff. So I just encoded the input and I implemented it, and I was able to get to know about the what version they're using. So I used some fuzzing techniques and I was able to get to the endpoint. And when I fuzzed the endpoint, I was able to get to the personal PI, means PIIs of the testing environment, by the way. This was the testing environment. This was not the actual environment. I told them that I found out that in your testing environment. And the same thing goes for, that main environment also. And they said that, yes, we acknowledge your event, and they provided me with some swag and some monetary awards also. So yeah, it was good. So now is the time to get your own first API flaws. Like the viewers, whoever are watching, like right now it should be your view of like what should be the approach for getting started as an API penetration tester, and what are the things that should be known and necessary for the exploitation of it. Okay. Like these four are my personal parameters. I'm not telling you should follow it, but you can take advantage of these things because generally people don't tell it. Okay. Believe me, learning is free. Whatever people say it is paid and paid, it is they sell it their experience through it. Okay. Even if there are good friends of mine that are selling their courses and all those things, I appreciate that thing. But believe me, learning is free and you can learn it from anywhere. It is going to take time. I understand that thing, and I believe I myself have learned in those way possible. I have learned through courses also. I've learned through these flaws also. But and these all flaws and whatever I've learned, I just jotted down, and I continuously and rigorously use these four parameters only for finding my own flaws. Very first thing is passive. What happens is people generally don't know about what is the difference between a risk and a vulnerability. So what happens is whenever they are inspecting or reading about any responsible disclosure program or vulnerability disclosure program, like if whenever you'll be finding any flaws within a company, they'll be having some kind of RDPs or VDPs. So if they don't have, then just don't find any kind of vulnerability, even it is for brotherhood, even it is for nationalism, anything like that. Don't find it. If they have, then find it and send it to the required body. Else don't do it, because that's going to give you a huge pain in your buttocks, in your palm, whatever you say. It is going to give you a huge pain in your head also, believe me. So very first thing is the passive recon. Like people generally say active recon, passive recon. For me, I just shuffled it because it was much more convenient for me. Now, passive reconnaissance is a type of thing that you read about VDPs and RDPs and get to know about what those RDPs and VDPs says. Many times what happens is we have a set of vulnerabilities that one should find. Like for example, if I'm good with account takeovers or cross-site scripting, or I'm good with SQL injection or any kind of injection attacks, XML external entity, anything like that, and when we apply over it, it's of no use, by the way. Okay, it's seriously, it is of no use, because if the company has published a certain kind of vulnerability only, and you have to find those vulnerabilities first rather than anything else, then go for those vulnerabilities only rather than finding someone else. There will be people who will be saying go for broken authentication, or even if there is not present. I agree with it, but not completely. What happens is these RDPs and VDPs very first judge those people who find out the vulnerability that are present in their place, okay, at their position. So just have that thing in that mind whenever you're testing, and recon yourself through Google. You can use GitHub and all these places to recon and all those things. That's going to help you out a lot. The second thing is the active reconnaissance. Now, active reconnaissance is very much useful. You can use scanners or tools if you wish to. I would suggest, if you are a beginner, don't do this, because if you'll be beginner, you won't be learning anything in return. You'll be like, just there are many organizations that are teaching to learn only Nuclei as a as only a tool that could be used as a scanner and all those things. So as a scanner, and you will be getting vulnerabilities. There are many people who think that I am a bug bounty hunter and I am a security researcher, and what they're finding is through Nuclei as a tool, and they are running it and they're getting it. That mode is not wrong, by the way, but you're not testing it. You're finding those risks and the exploitable stuff through a tool, and rather not through your mind. So that's not a learning phase. So use scanners, but not that much. Okay, use it till it is sufficient. Not, don't be dependent on those scanners. Okay. The third is the exploitation. GitHub, Exploit DB, Shodan, and CVNist are going to be your best pal when finding your first flaws. Whether it's API, whether it's not an API, it's for everything. It's going to be the best place. Okay. So you can take away from these things, like you can learn GitHub Recon, just like GitHub docking, like Google docking. Then have the mindset to be at Exploit DB, either contribute over it, or even if you're not a contributor, still work over it. Okay, like finding the correct exploitation part and all those things. Okay. Then there is Shodan, there is CVE and NIST. CVE and NIST are the places where people generally find their own vulnerabilities within their product, and they get a CVE number, and that's a good thing. I've also did it with the collaboration with my team. and it was good. And Shodan is the place where a lot of hidden endpoints are available. So if you are good with Shodan and Shodan docking and searching, it's going to help you out. So 95% of penetration testing is, as a freelance security researcher, is searching through these places only, and the rest 5% is exploitation. And the last part is the after effects, which is writing your own reports. Okay, many times what happens, people are like, this researcher has found out this vulnerability, so I should copy this thing. Never do that. Never ever do that. Learn the way through he found out, learn how he wrote the report, but never copy that report, because this decreases your chance of getting any kind of rewards for like 20 to 30%. It happens. Okay, the triagers are not, they are not, they are also human. Okay, they also know how to get to know the things. Okay, so create a report which is step by step, not that much big, but it's good to get started, and learn as much as possible through it. Okay, read reports, but don't copy it. Frame your own reports. Like, yes, you can do one thing. If you have your own personal report, you can copy that thing and then paste it, but don't copy it from any other place. Okay, just don't copy just like that. Now, as a beginner, these are the endpoints that one should focus on. Okay, just like for that version 1, if you go into version 2 and when you added the users.php users, you might find something interesting, or you might find something which is 403 forbidden. You should know how to bypass a 403 forbidden. I generally point out, by the way, the tips of escalating it on my Twitter. That can be also done. So API, if you get a parameter here at this position, or this is an injection point, you can use a users parameter and you can fuzz this endpoint. Even you should know about the encoding part. This is a, what you say, this is a slash that should be known as a, that you should know how to encode it. That helps you a lot, because even if a single encode is done, then you can bypass it to double encoding. If double encoding is done, then see whether it is being blocked up through web application firewall, which are known as WAF. So get to know the things about that. Okay. The third is this: if you get an API.php and you get a file parameter, this parameter is always vulnerable to two things. First is the file upload vulnerability, and second is the SQL injection. First, try SQL injection. That I got it in the previous founding that I showed it within the screenshot. If not, then go for file upload vulnerability, and through that go for remote code execution. That's going to help you out a lot. Third is to fuzz the API endpoints with special characters, just like an AMP and all those things, start like slash, double slashing, and doing all those stuff. And at last, you can get an injection encoded injection at a destination position, where you can check for open redirection vulnerabilities and all those kind of vulnerabilities. So these are 5 endpoints. You can test it out. So things to learn for getting started as an API penetration tester. First, learn this thing, and this thing is known as a Postman tool. Okay, learn Postman tool as much as possible. Okay, why am I saying this? Because Postman tool is a thing that helps you debug about what the APIs are testing on, and APIs are always tested on Postman tool. So because REST APIs or SOAP APIs or whatever API it is, Postman tool helps in all the position. So learn Postman tool first, and integrate, or set that up with respect to Bob Suite, so that you'll be able to get the information through Postman into the Bob Suite and test in your Bob Suite regarding your exploits and all those things. Okay. Second is Reconnaissance Live, no doubt. The key of API exploitation literally is Reconnaissance. Okay, you go to GitHub, you find a sensitive token, and within that sensitive token, you were able to get to have a key that can be implemented to any parameter. Just say this part, what do you say, this destination part or this file part. So this is nothing but what is known as this is nothing but what is known as sensitive token leakage, and that is only found out through Recon. Okay, I know a friend of mine, like seriously, I found this vulnerability. I was gained like around like $40 for this. It was very small vulnerability, but still, I was able to get to the API. Like through API, I was able to get to know about the sensitive information about a particular web application, a section of web application. Although it was hidden, but it was not that much hidden. So through these API keys, I was able to get to know, like, these reconnaissance always help you out to find the endpoints and the vulnerabilities. So reconnaissance is always like. Third is to get to know about the points. If I have to discuss, then this is the start point, this part is the midpoint, and this is the end point, or this point is the end point. Okay, so try to escalate in all these positions. Okay, not only work over the endpoints, rather than working on these two places also. This is going to help you out much better way, and it is going to escalate your chances to around 40% of it. Okay, like seriously, 40 to 50, 40%, 30%, it escalates your chances. Like you will be above the other person who will be finding the vulnerabilities. Okay, fuzzers are love. Fuzzers are always going to give you a great hand in finding API testing vulnerabilities. I'm not against the scanners and fuzzers. I personally love the fuzzers, but I create my own fuzzers and use it. I don't use it on GitHub, or I don't post it at GitHub, but I have my own fuzzers and I love using them. Some public fuzzers or vast fuzzers are Durbuster, Dursearch, Durb. You can go through it. There are a Recon FTW also. There are Nuclei also, but use those with respect to some things. Like even if you're using it with the manual testing, then it is a very good thing. You're testing in a good way. Fourth is fifth is the final. Find first general flaws and then find critical flaws. Or you can just shift it out also. You can find first a critical flaw, then general flaw. For learning the people, like the people who are learning the API vulnerabilities, the very first thing you should know is you should have the idea about, general flaws such as injection or PIIs, anything like that. Okay, when you get to know about these general flaws, what will happen is you'll get comfortable with these vulnerabilities. When you are comfortable with these vulnerabilities, you can move towards new flaws also, so that whenever you get a chance to test new flaws, very first thing you will be able to get to enumerate the older flaws, and you can older vulnerabilities or older bugs, you'll be able to file those things, and then you can move towards the critical flaws. So it will always help you out. And finding critical flaws is like getting broken authentication, assets finding, sensitivity to token leakage, and chaining those vulnerabilities, just like a file upload to remote code execution, or getting an SSRF to to cross-site scripting. Sometimes it happens. There are a lot of possibilities. It's just the imagination that plays part over it. So these are the places that you can learn, and for absolutely free of cost. Okay, they don't charge a single penny through you or from you. Okay, Contra is the most dedicated place for API penetration testing. You can learn through it. It is just like Hacksplaining or hacksplain.com. If you know about it, then it's good. If you don't know about it, still it's a very good thing. But I would suggest to go to Contra, learn through that place about OWASP top 10 API vulnerabilities practically, step by step, as they teach you, and it is going to help you out in your API penetration journey. That it has personally helped me also. Second is the Portswigger Academy. This is no doubt is very much common among the security enthusiasts. And learn the Postman tool, by the way. Learn Postman tools and Burp Suite as much as possible, and integrate that Burp Suite with Postman. If you're not a reader, then I'm saying to go for these places. If you're a reader and you can read those things, because I was quite a reader. Right now, also quite a reader. I read a lot of books. So if you're good with books, you can go with these three books. These are personal favorite. These are good with everything. Okay, and especially this one, Advanced API Security. This is a good book. And Modern Web Pen Testing. If you are a beginner, you can go through it also. So Contra and BobSuite is going to give you, but Portswigger Academy is going to give you, that thing. What you say? Practical approach to learn those things. So if you want to learn as fast as possible, you can go these places. If you want to create a strong foundation and then you want to get started, you can go with these books and get started yourself. And at very last, we have reached, and that's the dealing with duplicate submissions. Now, duplicate submissions, I'm not saying only for bug bounty hunters, but for everyone or anyone who is working as a security researcher. The work of security research is quite difficult and quite lengthy, but still it's always and always preferable. Why am I saying this? Because very first thing, people are always, they're very much like the new people who are coming in penetration testing business or in security research business. They're like, I found a vulnerability. I just submitted a vulnerability. I didn't get it, bhaiya. What should I do? I'm like, no issues. Find another bug or another flaw. Find any kind of flaw or find that same flaw on any other domain of that same place. Choose a good domain for testing it. And they'll be like, okay, bhaiya, but I'm very much disappointed. I'm like, the very first reason of disappointment is your expectations. Remove that thing. Whenever you are finding a vulnerability, I have told to every student of mine, whatever I've asked, every junior of mine, they're like, bhaiya, what should be the first thing? I'd be like, you found a flaw, you reported it, yes, bhaiya, leave it and don't expect anything in return from that. People generally put an expectation. They're like, yeah, I have found out this vulnerability. Hey, they're like, hey, Almighty, please help me out. Please, dear God, dear, help me out with this, Almighty. Please help me get my flaw get triaged on different platforms such as Hackathon or Bugcrowd. And I'm like, don't do that thing, buddy. Just don't do it. That's not going to help you out. Yes, praying is a very good thing. It is going to help you and motivate you, but don't expect after the reporting it. So first thing, remove expectation after reporting it. Even if it is duplicate, accept it. Even if it is not a duplicate, and if you find it that it is a vulnerability that should be rewarded, even if it is not patched properly, then you can have a small conversation with the triager, and you can work with it, or the security team, and they can help you out with it. Okay, and find one flaw at a time. Many a times what happens is the new bug hunters or new security researchers or new API pen testers, any kind of, they'll be like, I have learned broken authentication. I'm like, okay, you have learned completely, because I have myself have not completed it. And he's like, yeah, I've completed. I'm like, that's good. Then he said, I should skip for cross-site scripting. I'm like, whoa, why are you skipping? And first, enlarge more of your creativity in broken authentication. Like approximately, it depends upon what is your caliber, okay, what is your potential. You go through that much of a distance. You try to do it as much as possible. So they'll be like, okay, I'll try it, but that guy got bounty of $500 for finding an SQL injection, like, because that's his part. That's not your part, by the way. Okay, so find one flaw at one time. Don't switch vulnerabilities just like cards, and don't do that. Okay, or don't switch on your moods. Never do that. Set a goal of finding one vulnerability. Make yourself to be the Beckham or Ronaldo or Messi of that particular vulnerability. Like whenever you see it, you find it. I've seen Aditya Shinde. He's a very great bug bounty hunter. He has explained in his many talks that I've also joined his talks, and he's good with it. And he has explained it that find one vulnerability and work over it, and it's very right. He's good with SSRF, so he just examines it and he gets to know about it. So it's a good thing. Okay. The second thing is think creatively as much as possible. If you're not creative with your findings, then you are going to be like in 80% cases, you are always going to find the duplicates, which is going to help your morale go as much as down as possible. That's not going to help you go up, but it is going to help you go down. So try to think creatively. Creatively, generally people think that it is like chaining. But no, I'm not saying about chaining the vulnerabilities. Chaining the vulnerabilities, it's good. It comes under creativity. But apart from that, if you want to find it like within a creativity part or anything like that, first try to get to know the difference between what you have found is either a risk or a vulnerability. Now, risk is a thing that is like, for example, you got a very small, I'll be discussing about very small. It's like you found a vulnerability known as a DMARC record vulnerability. People generally found out, or people who are training, they tell them about what a DMARC record is and how they are being flaws and all those things. So if a website or web domain doesn't have a DMARC record, then it is a risk and it is not a vulnerability, by the way. Always remember this. But like, for example, if a website doesn't have an HTTPS or secured or any kind of SSL TLS certificate, if it doesn't have, then it is a risk factor. Okay, it is not a vulnerability. When you exploit this risk, then it becomes a vulnerability. Now, if you're able to trigger any or ambiguous, what kind of unambiguous type of email triggering problems or issues or attacks through because of no DMARC records found on a particular domain, or use that domain to send anyone anything else because There is no CNAME record or anything like that. So that is nothing but what is known as creativity. And finding vulnerabilities is like that. You should go for, if you watch YouTube, you can go for live overflow, and you will get to know the difference between what is risk and vulnerability. So if you find a risk which is immensely placed there, then try to exploit it in a testing environment and then tell them what is testing environment, nothing but in your browser, simply. Okay, find flaws and chain them. It is going to help you out a lot. Chaining helps you get more vulnerabilities even after, for example, if I get a file upload vulnerability, okay, and I was not and I just reported that thing. But what the other, my fellow security researcher did, or not security researcher, or bug bounty hunter did, was he get to know about the file upload. He took it and escalated it to, or chained it to remote code execution. So what happened? He is going to get more bounty as compared to what I'll be getting. The main reason was remote code execution is much more, vulnerable, or risk factor, or that much of bad thing for for a web application or the organization, as compared to just a upload vulnerability. File upload is also a good thing, but if you found a remote code execution, that's a plus point. So definitely that person will be getting more vulnerability than more bounty or a monetary reward or any swag kind of thing than as compared to me. So find a low impact vulnerability is good, but just directly don't report it. Found a low impact vulnerability, try to chain it in the good bigger way, bigger picture. You found out a skill injection, good. See if you get a PIIs or not. If you're not able to get a PII, see for whether you can create an instance class within it or not. If you have that much access to it, then try to escalate it through cross-site scripting or anything else like that. Okay, so that's going to help you out in creativity. Third thing is to not to compare yourself or your findings with others. Like right now, I said that person got an RC and I got an file upload, so I should be happy with what I got. I've seen many people comparing themselves, like not comparing, but indirectly telling that I've got this vulnerability and posting it on LinkedIn. As a beginner, I would say you're always going to get disappointed. Don't go for following bug bounty hunters in the beginning. Okay, if you want to learn it, then believe me, uh, go for their write-ups rather than watching the that they have got these many bounties. Because let's face it, many I've seen one of my not my colleague but known person. What he did, he used the inspect element, and he just changed completely the inputs and all those things. So what happened is, like, he was ridiculed within the community. Like, he used the inspect element and he just changed it, and he was like, I got this much and I got that much amount of bounty. So that's a very bad thing that you do it, but just to show off to the people. So don't be a show off kind of a person. If you find a good thing, keep it in your featured part. If you are in a LinkedIn place, if you want to post it, and if you think that yes, it should be known to the people for finding and you've contributed in a thing, like you found out a CV or you found out a vulnerability in a good known, like just like in Google you found out something, so that should be posted. But don't post your bounties, because what happens is people generally get envy of you. That's not going to change anything, by the way. Okay, that's not going to help you out, but some or the other way they'll be having a very strong eye over you, and they can either get vigilant or violent, and they can get very much, what you say, kind of a leech type of people. They can get towards you, and there are some cases that happened with me also. So whatever you find out, whatever reputation you get, do post it and share whatever you got it as a bounty. But don't overshow or overflow your achievements. Be humble as much as possible, and don't compare your findings with others. Even if you find a DMARC record vulnerability and other got a server-side request forgery, you should be happy with your DMARC record, because let's face it, you found out with your own with your own hard work. So don't do that thing. Okay. And third part is learn through write-ups. Learning is free. It's completely free. Okay. It's not at all like, there will be people who saying that you can do a course. If you want to do a course, then do it. Doing a course is a plus point. But believe me, anyone can become a bug bounty hunter or a API penetration tester or a security researchers through reading. So because learning is always free, it's not at all placed. Let's say that Elon Musk himself said that learning is free. Okay, it's just we have to work that much hard to learn it. Okay, so I've seen one of my friends, Tuin Bose. he every day he reads like around 20 to 25 reports, every write-ups and reports every single day, and he's doing good. Okay, so he didn't took anyone's course. I don't think so. If he would have even taken the courses or not, but still he's finding good bugs and good duplicates. Sometimes getting duplicates is also good. He found out a duplicate and found there was a person whose name is Pawan Chaudhary. Okay, and he found out Pawan Chaudhary Pawan was there. Yeah, Pawan only. He got it a very good. He got a very good offer through a company that you can might work with us as a pen tester. So that's a good thing. Sometimes finding duplicate is also a good thing. So be motivated. Make yourself self motivated. That even if you got a duplicate bug, still I agree with it. And fourth and the last point, learn to ask. You can ask anyone in the community, and if they don't ping it out, don't worry, ask another person. Okay, someone says now that I asked him, he didn't tell me, let him go. If he didn't tell you about what was the main factor or key factor to be done, then let it be. Like, okay, I'll ask someone else. Like, for example, if you asked me and if I was not able to tell you, then you go for someone else within the community. Within the community, people will love to help you out, but it's not going to help you completely. Okay, it's not going to completely help you out. So learn as much as possible through Google, Shodan, or community. Read as much as write-ups as possible, and make yourself the best version of you in this COVID time, because it's going to help you out a lot with it. Okay, and I'll be just conducting, like, completing and concluding my stuff. If you want to ask any type of questions, you can check it out these places. You can ping me out. Just don't ask these type of questions like how to hack NASA using HTML, or how to hack my a girlfriend or boyfriend social media account. Please, that girl is doing these. Don't ask these type of questions, okay? Because we are also human beings, okay? We are also people like you all only. So you can get connected with me at these places. You can ask me, and I told you the best things that I know personally in API penetration testing, and you can. These are the things that can help you out in your journey for free of cost. You don't have to pay a single amount of it. I would seriously thank Gravithon 2021 to bring all the great people and speakers to this position, so that they'll be able to circulate good information to all the people for free. So seriously, thanks so much to Gravithon 2021. Thanks to LPU for conducting it, and seriously, it was a very good thing to talk with all of you. Thank you, and have a nice day, viewers. Bye.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure having you, sir, with you. So we had some questions from the participants. So
Mm-hmm.
we had already filtered out some questions.
Yeah,
So
sure.
let me you. Sir, can you please share where you started and explain the steps you have followed to be in this position?
See, right now in position means if you want to work as a security analyst or anything like that, first thing, see, let's face it, we are living in a country like India, okay? And in a country like India, there is a need of certification. Even if you're coming from the best of the best colleges, you know the best everything, you might need some kind of certifications, okay? The cheapest one or the most best one I would say is to go for NASCOM security analyst type of a certification. It's easy to crack, very easy, and its reputation is also good, so you can go through it. Apart from that, there is from EC Council also, you can go for that, and EC Council is quite good with security analyst. Then whatever I am here right now is just because of my mentor, which is Dr. Ajit Kumar and Dr. Shishir Kumar Shandilya, and many other people also that have helped me out in my journey. Like Aditya Shinde also have helped me out a lot. Then follow good people. Okay, follow good people that are very much helping you. Okay, do those certifications that are necessary. Very first thing, find the reason why you want to be in cybersecurity, and second, and at what section of the cybersecurity you want to be. You can be in a defense part also, you can be in offensive part also, you can be in any part. Okay, so first find that. Second, work on those the certifications that are related to it, because that is going to indirectly give you a boost to the learning methodologies. And the third one, what I would be considering is to learn every day, because every expert learns every day. So that's what I would suggest you to be, not at my position, but be above what I am right now. Okay, so that will be
Yeah.
much better.
And next one is how to submit the submissions. Like since you said, go for the responsible disclosure programs.
Mm-hmm.
So if the company is not having any kind of responsible disclosure program, so how
Mm-hmm.
can he submit the like vulnerability, or how he can ask the person? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is there any way to submit the vulnerability or any kind of thing to that
Mm-hmm.
company? This
Mm-hmm.
is one
See,
of the question.
yeah, that's a very good question. If you are a beginner, don't do it, because once I was a beginner, I did it. I went under some trouble. So if you're a new person, work under RDPs, VDPs, or platforms only. Work on point based platforms. That is going to help you out in everything. But if you are quite an expert and you know that you have found a vulnerability, but that organization doesn't have any kind of that responsible disclosure program or anything like that, go to that website and see whether they have any kind of email address that is being related to them, whether it's of related to career, whether it's related to you know get connected with them, any kind of email address. If they have, get connected with them and tell them that I have found a vulnerability. I'm not saying specifically to go for security only, because see, if you have found a vulnerability and when you get connected with careers part, the people who are managing the career portal, they'll be like, okay, he found something, we should forward it to the security team. Either they will be pinging you back and tell them that you should mail either to this email address and tell about what you have found out, your vulnerability or findings, if it is ethical. Because always keep yourself in an ethical way. Like for example, what I do is, if I found a vulnerability and they don't have an RDP or VDP, at last I write out as a note that I am ethically disclosing this vulnerability in front of you, and there is no third party or that is or that should or that will be included in this kind of the research which what I found in front of for the organization. So first thing, if you are new, don't do it. Second, if you are known to it, like if you know that intermediate one, if you are in the position that yes, you know about these vulnerabilities and you have found out and there is a need to know about it, get to their portal or get to their website, get to their places like careers at the rate whatever the gmail.com or whatever it is. Like for example, if it is Google, okay, so service at the rate that at the rate gmail.com, or if it is careers at the rate gmail.com, anything related to that, ping them up and say that I have found a vulnerability and I need to get connected with them because it is very immensely important. People, whenever you'll be saying that they have a kind of vulnerability, they are always going to ping out. There are a lot of startups that they don't. That is a different thing, but most of the time people are very much careful right now for their security.
Okay. And best tools you have ever used in API penetration testing?
API penetration testing, like seriously, I personally do manual testing, not completely, because there are works of analyst also, so I have to do that also. So if I have to tell, then I would say for the best fuzzers, I will say the Derb Buster, Derb Search. That's going to help you out. Recon FTW, it's going to help you out. Nuclei, some, because I have seen some people finding vulnerabilities to Nuclei, and they're like, I'm the professional bug bounty hunter and all those things. So that's a bogus thing. That should not be done. But still, people are using it, so anyone can use it. That's going to help you out. ProjectDiscovery.io. That's one of the places which are creating good automating tools. You can go through it. I personally use Aquatone a lot. I use Aquatone like seriously a lot of times. So my personal suggestion, go for Aquatone if you're good with it. And create your own tools. That is going to help you out. That's seriously going to help you out. There are many people who are using their own personal tools, and that's going to help them to get ranks and all those things on different platforms also. So, and learn Burp Suite. And if you're not good with Burp Suite and you're getting started, you can go for OWASP Zap Proxy also. That Zap Proxy tool is going to help you out in such a way that you just have to copy the link, paste it at the place. They have this certain set of parameters. They're going to spider it and test in every way possible. So these are some of the tools that I would suggest to go for
Okay, sir.
as a NAPI penetration tester.
And one person asked that whether it is good to hunt on Buckroad, HackerOne, like these platforms,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
else we go for the company RDB programs.
Hmm.
Which one
So
is good? Like
yeah, 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 yeah,
going
that's a
for
good.
the non-RDP programs or RDP programs or Buckroud, HackerOne following by these
Mhm.
platforms, which was the
Okay.
good practice.
Okay. That's a good question. See, recently Buckroud, released their changed their VRT policies, and that like seriously, people generally work over Buckroud and Hackerone, and in return they get some kind of appreciation points. They have the condition and all those things, and RDPs and VDPs, which are publicly available of different organizations, doesn't count on that thing. Like they don't provide you with any kind of points, but they provide you with some kind of swags and all those things and hall of fame thing. Even Buckroud and HackerOne also does, but right now what HackerOne and Buckroud has done is, like, even if you find a duplicate kind of vulnerability, they are going to escalate. Like they're not going to take it at all. They're not going to take you like, if you got a, they have some certain parameters. They say that there is a bug of P4 level or P1 level, P2 level, and that's a good parameter, but they are not going to reward any kind of duplicate submission which is under P4 level of vulnerability in at Buckround or HackerOne, which consists of some out of scope vulnerability. So both the places I would be saying, as a beginner, don't go. There will be people who will be saying that you can go to these places. I would say don't go that place. First thing.
Okay.
Second, if you want to work over it, if you want to seriously work over, like, that place where you won't get demotivated, I would be saying to go for RDPs and point based places only. What point based places? Not as a platform, but to work for Hall of Fame more, rather than finding for, going for any platform and getting that thing. Like at Integrity, it's one of the good bug bounty platforms, but people generally are not that much successful at that place because they have a certain amount of vulnerabilities only that you have to find out, and others they just neglect it out. So first thing, don't go directly to these platforms now because it has been crowded a lot. Second, if you want to learn about these things, better to find these vulnerabilities or hunt these vulnerabilities on RDPs and VDPs. Even if you don't get an RDP or VDP, or if you want to, like, you are very much adamant to work not on these RDPs or VDPs, but rather you want to want on or work over a platform, I would tell you go for openbugbounty.org. What happens is also one more thing. The previous question that was asked, like for example, if a company doesn't have a security policy, something like that. Okay, like they don't have a VDP or RDP. What you can do is you can visit openbugbounty.org. You can find whatever vulnerability you found out. You paste that link over that place, and when you just submit your report, the Open Bug Bounty community is going to ping that community back. Okay, even if it is placed or in their list, if they even if they have the RDP, or even if they don't have the RDPs or VDPs, they are going to ping from themselves that yes, one of the researchers have found out that this vulnerability is placed at this position in your web application. So this is one of the ethical way that is going to help you out. So beginners, seriously, you can go for openbugbounty.org. That's going to help you out.
Okay, sir. That's great. And one more thing, sir. Like after listening to this, like since I'm also one of the bug bounty hunter
Mm-hmm.
and penetration tester,
Mm-hmm.
I got a doubt in my mind that
Mm-hmm.
you said like if you found any kind of vulnerability, like any platform which doesn't have anything, and
Mm-hmm.
you are saying to go to open bugbounty.org and report it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it legal? Because testing a company website, according to my knowledge, testing a company
Mm-hmm.
website without any permission, without their permission,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
finding the vulnerabilities in them, I don't think it's legal. So, can you
Yep.
clarify that
Yes.
whether it's legal
That's
or
a
not?
that's a very creative question, by the way, Wala. But I'll be
Uh,
telling you. The thing is, what happens is whenever you find whatever, like for example, you're working under, like, just suppose you have your university, like just like LPU, one of the finest universities. You found out a remote code execution, but you're working at my university, just like at VIT Bhopal University, and you have no direct connection with LPU. You have no relation with LPUs. There is no place that you can ping out to them so that you can say that you have found a vulnerability, and it can escalate it to a very great level, and it can leak a good amount of information, just like their own some kind of LMS portal. Okay, if it is not maintained properly. So what one does is to get through the openbugbounty.org. Openbugbounty.org has nothing to do with keeping the vulnerabilities or keeping the information. They don't keep it at all. They just work as an intermediary. Like Bugcrowd and HackerOne, they showed that yes, they work as an intermediary, but they are semi-intermediaries. Like they have some connections with the company, they get with the company and then acknowledge the selected hackers to work on the platforms privately, like on the private platforms or the private programs. Okay, like for example, recently there was Department of Defense one, DoD. So in that one, selected hackers or ethical hackers were only called out. Okay, so what happened is, like for example, as I said, that if anyone found a vulnerability at LPU, there is no RDP or VDP at LPU. There is no place where one can get connected to it, and if there is no way that you can ping your request to them, then there should be a way through which you can tell them that yes, there is some vulnerability. Openbugbounty.org consists, like have a certification through the cert.in as well as through and follows the GDPR formation, whereby one can find a vulnerability and report over the openbugbounty.org irrespective of what organization she is working on. And the work of openbugbounty.org is only of one thing, and that is to ping out that organization. That's it. The reward and all those things is between that researcher as well as to that university or that organization. Openbugbounty.org has nothing to do in return within this. It just works as an intermediary. So for example, if I found any kind of bug at LPU University and I have no connections, just like I don't have any connection, like for example, if with you or with anyone regarding related to that, or if there is no career portal, and even if I've pinged a lot of time or mailed them to the admin, but he's not taking it seriously, so I have to take some, or there will be some ethical steps. Otherwise, if an attacker gets to know about it and he exploits it, then they will be like, who was the person to be responsible? Both admin as well as the people who will be working with the servers and systems are going to get either fired out, or they are getting to get enraged by the enragement or the anger of the higher officials. To help them out in this way, because there are, let's face it, there are many admins who only believes that SQL injection and cross-site scripting is the only vulnerability. Even I've found out many administrator people that I've told them that this is a stored vulnerability, XSS, and they were like, no, bro, this is not an XSS. XSS is like, a dialog box comes out and pops up. That is XSS. I'm like, no, there are variations. You should learn about it. Okay. So working with those admins are very much difficult. And the security team is also quite difficult. So Open Bug Bounty helps in that way, and it is completely legal. Okay, right now it is completely legal. See, for Indian government websites, you don't have to work for openbugbounty.org. For international websites, you can work over it. For international, there is NCIAPC, you can work with it, or if you have got a private program within that organization, if you have connections, then you can go for it. For just concluding it, finally, this answer is, you found a vulnerability on an international website like cross-site scripting, anything like that. I'm not saying for Netherlands because they have their own RDPs and VDPs. If you found out any other place, just like I found out at egoi.com, there was nothing which was related to egoi at Openbug Bounty at that time. But when I reported them, then they started their own RDPs and VDPs through openbugbounty.org, and they have exposed most of their domains and told them to test on it. So it is 110% legal to work over it. People generally don't read those GDPR, but they only say that no, they are restricted it. Once they read that GDPR and all those things, then they'll come to know about what is legal and what is not legal. That's how it works generally.
Okay, so thanks a lot for your explanation. I got clarity
Mhm.
now. And
Mhm.
so many people are asking about the tips about the recon, like GitHub recon and how to get started, and doing
Mhm.
the mainly JS endpoints recon.
Mhm.
So, what
Mhm.
are the, can you share out some tips?
Some tips for JS Recon, I would be seeing, have a very first thing, if you know about web archive place or web archive, whatever you say, I don't have that particular pronunciation. Learn to find those, that endpoint type of things on webarchive.org. I'll be posting that thing also on my, on my Twitter. Like after this discussion, I'll be posting it over. You can come and follow over it. Not follow it, just check it. You don't have to follow me at all. If you want to wish, then otherwise there is no need, there is no compulsion. Who am I to tell you? So for finding .js files, remember for GitHub Recon, you just have to be like double quotations. Put that, like for example, you want to find config.js files. They generally what people are finding in. So config.js file within the double quotations, and space it out, and then put the what do you say, the organization name. This is a kind of dork. So on GitHub there is a complete repository. One is the payloads of all things, and second is also one of the repository. I'm not getting it. That repository consists of all the docs. You just have to Google it right now. Okay, you just Google it, GitHub docs, and then space it, and then say git repo or git repository. The very first link what you'll be getting it, you will be getting the all the GitHub Reconnaissance docs. Second, same thing. Do the Google, you'll get to know about the docking part also, because explaining it right now is going to take a lot of time about docking, because that is a very different discussion only. Okay, so finding the JS files and all those things, Google and GitHub is going to help you out. The endpoint scanning you can find out on the GitHub as well as on Google. That is going to help you out. These are the things what I will be saying. You find config.js file, config.yml files, find those files which are known to it, like code.js. Find the files which are that consist of some kind of JSON files. Okay, find the JSON files also if possible. Sometimes ID parameters are very much vulnerable to these JSON files also. You just change it. If you know JavaScript, by the way, that's going to help you out a lot. If you don't know, then it's okay, no issues.
Okay, sir. And one person asked about the like to get started in this. Is it
Mhm.
any requirement to get knowledge in any particular programming language? And also the roadmap, like how can I get like roadmap to the things?
See, this is a good question. There's no particular roadmap. See, I tried to build a roadmap, but with new advancement and new technologies and new inclusion and all those things, I'm still maintaining it. By the way, I'm just making it as much fast as possible. So it will be once available on Instagram, not now, but after some times. The very first thing, if you know programming language, it's a plus point. If you don't know programming language, there is no issues. If you're working with APIs, if you know about JavaScript, if you know about PHP, if you know about how requests are sent and that's going to respond, and uh, and the related burp suite part, it is going to give you a plus point. It is not at all necessary to know. You just have to have a laptop that can be configured with respect to any kind of testing tools such as OWASP, Zaproxy, or what do you say, this thing, Bob Suite. If you are, and you can set up Postman tool for API. I'm saying, if you're not dealing with API, or you're just dealing with web application, you just need a Bob Suite. And if you're working with Zaproxy, that will be enough for you. You don't need programming knowledge at all. If you don't need it, if you don't know, no issues. But if you know a programming language, that is going to help you. Programming always helps in a thing, whether it's development. See, whenever you are developing a thing, whenever you are going to different companies also, and you are working as a developer or an engineer, the very big thing is to build a logic rather than building and using codes and all those things. Because professors are very good people, by the way, but professors will always say that use this language and use this language and go for these things. Don't go for that. Take a language, master it. Okay, and then if you want to wish to learn these things, you can opt for it. So there is no need to go through you know
Yes, sir.
learning a particular kind of language and then go for this API penetration testing. You can go roughly to these places. I've explained it that you can go for Portsugar Academy and Contra. So these places, they don't define you that whether you know programming language or not. They are just open to learn. Okay, so and there is no requirement to learn at all. You should have basic sense like what is a JS file. You should have a basic sense about what is a PHP. Even you should know about what PHP endpoint is, what is the source code. Basic things you should know. Okay, that is going to help you out. So programming is going to help you out. It is not at all compulsory. You can start right now also. There is no need to learn programming. And second part was whether there is a roadmap or not. I'm making it. I have not completed it, but once I'll make it, I'll I'll publish it at different places. All these places, by the way, Twitter,
Okay, sir.
Instagram, and
So, is it necessary to learn all the web development to get started in this, and as well as can he start on government websites?
I knew that this question will come because most of the people start their journey through government websites only because they are vulnerable to get attacked through low level bugs or high level bugs. So I would be saying if you get low level bugs through the these websites, not website means these government websites, publish means not publish it, report it at NCIPC. I agree with it. Do that as much as possible. That is going to help them out. If they are patching or not, that is not your issue. The best part of being here right now as a freelance tester is just to find those vulnerability and tell them. Second thing, what was the second part, by the way? I just forgot that question. Like, yeah, got
So
it, got it, got
yes,
it, got it, got it. So whether it's you should know all the languages, no, not at all. You should know the basics of some languages, just like HTML. You should know what HTML is, how codes are being written. You should know about brackets and slash and what is breakpoints and all those things, basic things. If you're working on web application, at least you should have basic sense of how, like, what constitute a web applications, right? For example, you're testing for broken authentication. You saw that there was a write-up, you followed that thing, and suddenly or with the almighty's grace or with a luck factor, you got a vulnerability and you reported and you got a monetary award. So you cannot tell yourself that this is you have worked as a bug bounty hunter. No, 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 no. That was a thing that you found out in a very accidental way. That was not the complete search what you did. But when you sharp those skills and when you come to know that yes, these are the technology that work. Like for example, if a person have to find AWS S3 takeovers, okay, like Amazon Web Services takeover, S3 buckets. So if they don't have any idea about what S3 buckets are, and if they are following only one approach, that is going to be quite a lengthy time to get their first flaw. Okay, so if you get to know these things, it's good, it's going to help you out. But if you don't know, that doesn't mean that you cannot start with it. Okay, you can start with it, you can move forward with it, you can do a lot good with it. So these are going to help you, but these are not going to tell that these are compulsory thing, just like the previous question.
yes, also there are so many questions. If it is going to be like, it will going to be all the day. But one question, like last but not the least, like how to
Mhm.
get this job in this field as a fresher? Is it possible?
Okay, see, so very first thing, if you want to apply anything in cyber, go for cyber security approach more than work. You can do two things. Either you can go for cyber security approach if you're a beginner, or you can take a job role approach as a beginner. So these two places are like, if you go to cybersecurity and first you find out what is your niche or what is your thing that you like. Like if you want to come in cybersecurity for money, don't come. Don't come. It is not going to help you out in any way. If you have interest and if you believe that you can evolve in it, then come in this field and it is going to help you out. First thing. Second, if you want to work for a job role, better to get certified under a job role, because in India, what is happening, not as a student I'm saying, but as a complete whole person, if you want to work at as a cybersecurity or anything company like that, you should have at least one certificate that tells you, which is from a recognized community or an organization, that tells you that yes, you are certified under this, like EC Council certified ethical hacker. We all know how CEH is. Like exam is good, CEH exam is very good if you take practical as well as the theoretical part, because see, CEH exam has two part, theory as well as practical. Majority of people take theory paper and tell them that I am a CEH. Yes, you are a CEH, by the way, certified, but you don't have that practical approach to find those that loopholes and exploit them as an ethical hacker. So if you don't have that practical thing, better don't do that EC Council certification. And if you want to do that EC Council certification, take that practical test also. That is going to help you out. And even that is going to take you as a job also. Now, in India, the job roles which are present are like analyst, like security analyst, then security engineer, then application security engineer, then web application penetration tester, then general penetration tester that consists of networks, systems, operating system. These are the things. These are the places through which people can work over it. But in India, the very beginner level job as a fresher is of analyst. Okay. I'm also working as an analyst, and next year also I'm going to be, switching my work from analyst to an engineer because, pay scale is less. Okay, pay grade, like seriously, pay is quite less as compared to an engineer. So I have that required skill. I'm completing my certifications. Like some certifications I've completed as an analyst. Now I'm completing as an engineer so that I can qualify for it. So if you want to work as an analyst is the first thing that you can work. Apart from that, you can, if you want to work as an SOCs, you can go for that also. Purple teaming, which is quite a part of it. You can go through it. But if you're a student and if you want to get started, better to get started with bug bounty hunting. I would personally say, because that is going to boost your profile. Okay. If you're, even if you're doing on as a for Hall of Fame, or if you're doing it on any other things, that is going to tell that yes, this guy knows about what vulnerability is. He has found out these vulnerabilities, and that is going to boost your morale as well as your resume also in the field of security. And if you are not being with the offensive security but working for forensics, just like digital forensics and defense methodologies, I would prefer you to do go for certain internships that work out most of the time. Like generally it works out. And create projects as much as possible. Okay, create your own tools, small tools, command line tools or graphical GUI based tools. Create your own tools, maintain a small GitHub repository. Okay, and not don't circulate it people to the people, but you know just evolve that thing and make and maintain it as much in the best way possible. Okay, so that's going to help you out as a fresher or as a beginner in a country like India to get started as a cybersecurity engineer or API penetration test or anything like that.
Okay, so it was a very nice interaction with you, sir, and as well as it was so amazing session and so informative. And we're extremely sorry that we had extended you, taken out your
No
more 30
issues.
minutes.
No
And
issues. No issues.
also, I got the so many requests, so many questions, and we can't even conclude the session now. But it is got so much of delay, and
No issues.
yes, sir. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, sir,
Anytime.
for
Anytime.
the
No issues.
amazing
The best
session
part
and
about
information.
the best part about Gravithon 2021 is you have found good people, and you thought of that. I was near to those people, so I found myself to be much more lucky as compared to not lucky, but I found out that like some of the other way I did something for the community so that they chose me as a speaker. So thanks to Gravithon 2021, thanks to LPU that they called out to me. Thanks a lot.
Yes,
By the
sir.
way.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Over to Vignesh.
Yes, sir, it was a wonderful session. We learned many things as a beginner, as an intermediate. Guys, thanks a lot to join this wonderful session. We'll come back with one more session with one more person and hope you will enjoy and learn. Thank you. That's it from today's session. Hope you enjoyed and learned. Thank you. Thank you all.